We are 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, 3 weeks, and tonight there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis. Now, the first shoe on this dropped when a federal judge today said the White House is defying his order to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal aid, marking the first time that we've had a judge expressly accuse the Trump administration of ignoring a court ruling.
So, in typical Democrat fashion, we have double and triple standards when it comes to the law. What do you think whenever Joe Biden wanted to forgive student loans and it was deemed unconstitutional and it went all the way to the Supreme Court and you know, the Supreme Court went against Joe Biden and the Democrats. And what do you think Joe Biden's response was? And the Democrats' response and the cheering from the media of him ignoring judges. This is just some Obama appointed lower level judge, not the Supreme Court. Go ahead, tell me all about it, Joe.
Tens of millions of people in debt were literally about to be canceled, their debts. But my MAGA Republican friends in the Congress, the elected officials and special interests stepped in and sued us. And the Supreme Court blocked it. They blocked it. But that didn't stop me. I announced we were going to pursue alternative paths for student debt relief for as many borrowers as possible. And that's the effort that's been underway the last 2 years. My dad used to say, Joey, a paycheck is about more than, a job is about more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about opportunity. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay. You got a chance. That's all we're doing.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not.
So if you're not paying attention, when the Democratic president does it, they cheer and say this is him just keeping his promises. Nothing wrong with it. It's not a constitutional crisis where the government is being overthrown by a rogue actor. And what are you Joe Biden admitted it and said, not only did he go against a judge's order, he went against the Supreme Court that interprets specifically the constitutional um, whether or not something would be in a constitutional crisis or not, right? I mean, and then what did Nancy say at the end there? He doesn't have the power. Then if you never had the power to do it, why was one of your main campaign promises to do that?
I promise you, if I'm elected president, you're going to see the single most important thing that changes in America is we're going to cure cancer.
Oops, my bad. Right clip.
I'm proud of the coalition we put together, the broadest and most diverse coalition in history.
Joe Biden has been elected as our next president, and one campaign platform he ran on was student debt loan forgiveness. Temple students with debt are now hoping to see him prioritize this plan.
He made it part of his campaign. It was one of his promises, so I hope he keeps that promise.
People think that the President of the United States has the power for debt forgiveness. He does not.
I mean, honestly, did you highly educated Democrat voters really vote for a guy that promised to cure cancer and to forgive student loan debt, which he clearly does not have the power to do? Is that how smart you are? Is that let's ask Joe.
My dad used to say, Joey,
Okay, just to be clear, when the Democrats do it and they promise things that they don't even have in their own power to do to get you to vote for them, then they just say, "Oops, sorry, I actually don't have the power to do that. Oh, you don't like that? Well, I'll just go against these judges and you should cheer for me for going against the law to give you stuff that I never should have promised you to begin with. This is fine." Versus Trump and the new America First Party saying, "We're going to eliminate all of this corruption, all these slush funds, and all this garbage if you vote for us." We vote for them, then you try to block them from doing what they promised us, which they have the power to do. And whenever they wiggle out of court things, it's a constitutional crisis and a coup against the government. Anyone with 10 brain cells should be able to see this. And if you are confused about what's going on and you think Elon's doing something wrong and the Democrats are fighting against a coup, you are fucking retarded. The Democrats want you to celebrate them marching in the streets and mobilizing to stop Doge and Elon from doing what? Removing 18 contracts for a total of $9 million. Our constitutional crisis is because Elon and Doge are stopping Central American Gender Assessment Consultant Services, Brazil Forest and Gender Consultant Services, and Women in Forest Carbon Initiative mentorship programs. 18 contracts for that trash for $9 million. And that's what they're exposing. That's the bullshit that they're Do you think there's someone even in Brazil even doing that shit? I don't think so. I don't believe you. I don't think there is. I don't think there is a gender assessment program in the freaking rainforest of Brazil. No, I don't believe you. I think you're paying yourself. I don't think there's anyone even stationed in fucking Brazil. This is ridiculous.
Now, look who's back with us from House Budget Committee, Congressman Chip Roy. It's great to have you back on again, sir. Congressman, what do you make of President Biden finally publicly admitting that, yes, he did purposely circumvent the Supreme Court with his nearly $140 billion student loan bailout?
Well, I mean, I'm glad he's acknowledging the reality that we've all known, but yeah, who cares? He's still doing it, right? I mean, they're doing it on purpose and they're ignoring law, which is the hallmark of this administration, ignoring the law and in the process undermining the entire American, experience. That's the truth, right? We've got wide open borders. He's ignoring the law, endangering American citizens, fentanyl pouring in, empowering cartels, empowering China. He's ignoring the law on student loans. So, my wife's been paying her student loans now for 20 odd years. She's still paying off.
Where's the constitutional crisis with Biden? No one said anything about it. What happened? There wasn't a coup against the government. And I'm totally with Chip Roy. Whenever he talked about student loan forgiveness, that was my main thing. Back in 1998, 1999, I went to a trade school to get an associate's degree to learn a trade. I took a $20,000 loan to do so. $20,000 in the 90s was a large chunk of money. It was a big deal to me. I paid that loan back. And whenever he announced that stuff, I'm like, I paid my student loan back. Are you gonna give me the money back? Of course not, because they deem someone that's able to pay back as someone who's doesn't need any assistance because I was able to pay back. I don't need any assistance. No, I lived with my parents and stayed with my parents for the first 5 years into my professional version of my career to try to pay off those loans and try to. I ate ramen and smoked roaches. And bro, what? I drove a 1993 beater with inspection stickers on it for the year that cost $1,000 to be able to get around, to be able to pay my loans off. And that wasn't fun. And you're going to give me the money back? You're going to give me back all those experiences I missed because I needed to be responsible and pay for myself? Of course not. It's only for the losers and the idiots that don't work hard and don't want to do anything. And that's why the American people are happy about what's happening. That's why Trump's approval rating's so high. Let's finish the video up here and let's see. This constitutional crisis would have everyone disapproving of what Trump's doing, right? Right? Of course, right? Tell us.
CBS News out with a new poll showing that Americans seem to be liking what they're seeing, but it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I mean, look, but it's not just CBS. I like to take an average of the polls. And holy smokes, I mean, look at what the difference is between now versus 8 years ago during the first Trump term, right? This is Trump's net approval rating on February 10th. You go back to 2017, Trump was already underwater at -5 points on the net approval rating. That's approval minus disapproval. What a difference 8 years makes. He's on the positive side of the ledger at +4 points. And again, it's not just the CBS News poll. We're talking about the Gallup poll. We're talking about the Ipsos poll. Yes. We are talking about the Pew poll. All of these respective pollsters have Trump in a better position now than they did 8 years ago. The bottom line is Americans are far more likely to say they like what they're seeing now versus what they felt during Trump's first term.
That's right, because we are tired of our tax dollars being wasted on anything, especially on funding illegal aliens to invade and then live in our country. And in case you missed my previous video this morning, Doge is discovering who it is in FEMA that has been paying for the illegal aliens to stay in 5-star hotels in places like Manhattan and really all across the country.
Exactly. And not only are these people are calling for those people that sent that money for FEMA to pay for those hotels for illegal immigrants whenever it clearly clearly the executive order should not have allowed that money to go through. They're like, "Yeah, those people need to be fired." They need to go to jail. What do you mean fired? This isn't so you sent almost $100 million of taxpayer money to pay for illegal immigrants to stay in hotels and, inexpensive upscale New York, Manhattan hotels. Are you on crack? What is wrong with you people? And then constitutional crisis, constitutional crisis. This is a coup. Got to get rid of big balls. Got to get rid of hairy balls. No, absolutely not. And that's why we agree with everything that's happening. And don't put it past Democrats. They will do the same shit next time. I'll leave you with Joe Biden's other campaign promises. This is what else he promised. How much you want to bet a lot of these campaign promises from 2020 end up on whatever candidate they have for 2028 is going to have these same exact promises. How much you want to bet? Tell me in the comments if you think any of these things will come true. I'll see you on the next one. I smoke crack. Goodbye.
For example, Joe Biden promised to redo season 8 of Game of Thrones, remove brown spots on bananas, make all toilet seats 5 degrees warmer, individually sue each and every mosquito in the U.S. mainland, make Ohio an oceanfront state, add the name Gladys to Mambo number 5, end bathing suit chafing, find out why raccoons have human hands, reduce the sound of corduroys, remove cantaloupe from fruit salad, harness sexual tension to heat U.S. homes, and finally, perhaps the toughest promise from Biden, stop putting his hands on women's shoulders.